Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP, episode 535. We are live tonight. It is Thursday, July 6th. We've got a random Destron.
You can't hear us yet.
How are you, Destron?
Yeah, forever Destron. We're doing okay. I lost a screw.
Oh, no.
It's not good.
I know.
I was wondering, Peter was like randomly walking around. I was like, what is going on?
Introduce Phil before he dies.
Yeah, Phil's frozen.
And Phil.
It's too late.
Hey, what's going on? Good evening.
Too late.
Well, we weren't sure if you were legitimately frozen or just doing a bit.
Last week I did the bit and people thought I was legit frozen, so I'm like, I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to do a more extreme pose. And they're like, oh, it's fake. I'm like, yeah, it's
but tune in later in the show when you actually are frozen for real.
Yeah. Guys, let me show you this cool thing. Oh, I'm frozen? Never mind.
And then we also have Christian.
What up?
Our resident Studio Series expert. Right?
I guess. Peter would be more than me. He buys everything. Or used to.
He has all the studio series because he started it.
Yeah, see?
Oh, okay.
Can't stop, won't stop.
And you're Lucas.
And
I don't know if you said that.
Did I say Lucas?
But you are. I have no idea.
So,
I can't remember my name.
right?
Yeah.
It's been a long week, so already.
All right, finger check. Everyone still have all 10 fingers and toes from 4th of July?
I think so.
All right, good to know.
I'm a professional.
That's true.
Are you a professional explosives expert, though?
I've blown off some duties here and there.
Okay. There's a couple different ways you can take that, but I'll just leave it as it
Florida
is.
is just everything legal. Like, there's no fireworks bans whatsoever.
HOAs and different counties will have ordinances or rules or whatever, but you can't stop Florida, man. You can't.
I was gonna say, like, I know locally here everything's illegal, but like it's really close to get, pretty much everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Illinois is funny because it's illegal to sell fireworks or shoot off fireworks in Illinois, but in Indiana, it's illegal to sell fireworks to Indiana residents. So if you go over the border and just prove that you're not from Indiana, they're like, here you go.
Wait, they have a whole like industry built up to sell to people out of state.
Oh yeah. Yes. Whenever you are on, like basically starting June, when you are on a highway that is pointed towards Indiana, you will see a crazy amount of billboards for fireworks stands. And then as soon as you get over the border into Indiana, it is filled with, little like equivalent of 4th of July themed spirit Halloween stores, but with fireworks. And some of them are permanent year-round locations, but most of them are pretty pop-up. And then just about every year you get some like video on the news of like, Illinois police confiscated these fireworks today. And you just see them like shooting off a bunch of stuff on the side of the road.
But I think it's interesting that they can't legally sell to Indiana residents. That's an interesting like loophole.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been that way for decades.
Huh. But yeah, no, I know Missouri is pretty free with all their fireworks. So, which is, the state next to us. But I always love it. Like right in the border between Missouri and Iowa, like literally right on the state line, there's a huge fireworks store, like permanent one or whatever. Because like most of the states around Missouri are not as lax with their fireworks as they are.
Yeah, see, Illinois is somewhat the opposite, where like Wisconsin, Missouri, Indiana are all cool with it, and Illinois is not. So just if you live in central Illinois, you're kind of screwed. But if you live in any of the more populous areas which are near a border, you can get easy access to fireworks.
Kristen, you look like you're like, yeah, sure.
North Carolina doesn't like fireworks that go off the ground, but South Carolina's okay with it. I've never had the desire to get them, though.
Yeah.
I'd rather not set my trees or houses on fire.
I used to go to Indiana with my dad, and we would fill up his entire trunk. We would, yeah. Like my dad was like a premium card holder with Phantom fireworks, and like he was just like platinum level. Like, here's all the stuff that you bought. Oh, and like here's another like nearly trunk's worth of free stuff that we're going to give you because you bought so much. Yeah.
See, what my dad did is he just took us to the friend that did all that. So it's like you'd have the buddy that was like, oh, we're going to light off like 100,000 bottle rockets. Like, okay, cool.
That was my dad. Yeah. My dad was that guy on our block. And like the house I grew up in, the neighborhood had ditches. And so you had like the little culvert that went under your driveway. So it's like this big metal corrugated pipe. And when, July is usually pretty dry. If that thing was all dry, I would light firecrackers and throw them in there. And just the sound was like, doo 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 doo. So yeah, that was one of my favorites.
I once dated a girl whose family for 4th of July had a tradition of doing Roman candle fights, shoot them at each other in the street. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. Goodbye.
Oh man, that's me with the kids.
That event.
Yeah.
Until we moved to our new house, that was what we did. We fired Roman candles at each other. You run around the yard, maybe you run into a rattlesnake, maybe there's armadillos, who knows? Just shoot at each other. Have fun.
Yeah. Roman candle fights and bottle rocket wars were how I spent high school.
Well,
We've lived very different
I
lives.
just assume in Florida that you just have a range of fireworks for self-defense, right?
Fireworks.
So, Christian, I didn't know if you know this or not, but in the chat, Sinker Kingdom says that in New Jersey, they actually sell the fireworks in the grocery store in CVS.
I honestly have no care about what happens in New Jersey. I'd rather not hear about it.
Like Nick tripped and fell and like broke his leg. I don't want to hear about it happen in Jersey.
Yeah, pretty much. Nick spends most of his
like
time in Brooklyn now anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah. They sell like the dinky wannabe fireworks in our grocery stores where it's like the snake where you just light it and it like
those
black
are
charcoal
horrible.
thing.
They leave marks on the pavement forever.
Exactly.
We have like the shower stuff. You can get them in the grocery store. I bought mine at Target this year. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
The wannabe fireworks at our grocery store.
If we're gonna keep talking about fireworks, they're all showers. That's what you have here in North Carolina. That's what they're called. They're called shower fireworks. They go psh. They don't go off the ground and explode. They're just like, woo. Anyway, I bought one in the shape of a unicorn because I saw it last year and I was like, that's a weird shape for fireworks. And then I missed it because they all sold out before the war. So I was sure to get one this year. And it was incredible. It went around in like a U shape. And then the horn was the grand finale. And it had a whole different kind of look to it. It was great. Had a fun time.
I kind of need to find one of those now.
It was called Whimsy. It's a weird name, but it was shaped like a unicorn. And I bought it. And it was great.
One of my favorite like dumb moments in school that I had was 7th grade social studies class. Our teacher was explaining to us that even though China invented fireworks at this point in time, they had outlawed them. One of the girls in the class was just like, Mr. Jennings, is that even on the 4th of July that they're outlawed? Yeah. Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah. It's like, oh, so precious.
So studio series, tonight's topic. I guess we'll try and get on topic.
That's the real topic.
The
Yeah.
real topic.
It started
is-
5 years ago.
How crazy is this?
That's so
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah. It's
And
been
it'll be
going
the
on long
100th.
enough that they've actually done a fair amount of the or all the movie characters. Not all.
Yeah,
of them,
what just
but
came
a
out?
fair
Like
amount.
105 or something like that? We're close to that.
Yeah, we hit 100 with the Bumblebee for Rise of the Best.
Although I think we're missing 97, 96. Paul will be able to tell me. We're missing one, and the theory is that it's Hatchet.
Okay. So it's not Rhinox isn't filling that gap?
No, Rhinox is like one of two or three.
Gotcha.
Anyway. Generally speaking, there's like 100-ish figures.
Of the Baver Studio Series.
Is that also including the Buzzworthy line as well? Because
It is.
Yeah. Because like
those are weird numbered.
They're not like. See, that's the thing I don't like. I feel like
sometimes they have their own numbers. Sometimes they have their original numbers with BB on the end. Sometimes they have new numbers with BB on the end.
Right.
The numbering is very strange. If you want to talk numbering, talk to Paul. If you want to talk about figures, you can talk to me.
Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to like the masterpiece numbering where there's no rhyme or reason. Like at least the numbering in Studio Series is relatively consistent, like with what it is, like with some of the exclusives, and then like I guess the Studio Series 86 don't technically have.
It is the longest and most consistent numbering scheme that Hasbro has ever accomplished.
So
remember Thrilling 30? Where towards the end they skipped like 17 and then two things were 28 and they just kind of threw it on anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. I forget which
Sure
one
you
they
love
skipped.
that,
I think
Peter.
it was 17. Something weird. It's been 10 years. How am I supposed to
That
remember
Thrilling
everything
30,
anymore?
they just had the most random crap. Like they just were like stuck a number on anything.
Year of the Horse Optimus.
Sure.
It was certainly not a celebration of 30 years of Transformers. It was poop.
Odd. So Phil, this is your topic. Why don't you kick us off with your ideas of what you want us to talk about?
Well, I mean, number one, we didn't have an idea, so I kind of pulled this one out of my ass. Number
No
two,
one wants to see that.
yeah, I know. That's why I do it off camera. Number two, like I said, we hit 100 figures for the regular Studio Series line. I was wrong. I originally thought this was the first movie that came out while the Studio Series line was going on, but that's not true. Bumblebee took place while the Studio Series line was going on, but Bumblebee was sort of weird. So this is kind of the first time where we've gotten contemporaneous Studio Series toys while the movie's in theaters and even before the movie hit theaters. Studio Series was billed as this, line that they're taking the scans right from, the movie files and the CGI, and we're going to get something that's going to look as close to the what we saw on screen in a mainline toy. And I think for a big part they've been successful with that, and in other regards not as much. So I kind of want to talk about that, and just it's got two spin-off lines. We've got the 86 Studio Series line, and we've got the Gamer Studio Series line. So this is a little brand here for Transformers and Hasbro that's found a nice life, and it's fairly collector focused. So hey, we are collectors, so let's focus on the collector focus line.
So
that was my thought.
Beautiful.
My question for you, Christian, is of the Studio Series figures, are there any that you would rather have the original movie line figure than the Studio Series figure?
Come back to me? I wasn't prepared for that question.
It just popped in my head, so I was I don't know, Peter. What do you think? Is there anything that you enjoy the original? Because I do definitely feel like, so I started collecting the Studio Series when it came out, but then I was like, what the hell am I doing? Because I don't collect movie figures. But I will say that you know, for the most part, they've all been consistently pretty good. And you know, I've enjoyed them more than the, you know, for the most part, the original movie toys. But I don't know. Like, I feel like it's more successful. Like, most of them are in scale for the most part, right?
So I have an answer to that
They're
that
scaled.
doesn't
Yeah.
quite follow what you were asking, Christian, because it's a Studio Series 86 Studio Series toy versus a mainline toy of the same figure of the same character from a little bit back. So Titans Return, especially Takara Legends Wheelie, I prefer significantly over the Studio Series 86 Wheelie. Both versions. So
Reasonable.
yeah.
To the scale thing, they are essentially in scale. I think it's a little off here and there, but basically in scale. And I think I have an answer to your question, Lucas. I think I prefer like the Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime, the leader, more than I like the Studio Series ones. I've never all the Studio Series movie Optimuses I don't like. They do the one that can combine with Jetfire, they both can do it, is better at combining with Jetfire.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's like RTF was better. I also sold my RTF and kept the Studio Series because Studio Series goes Studio Series, and I'm kind of replacing my older movie figures with them as I go. Trying to, at least.
So in that case, the scale consistency of Studio Series helps
more important to me.
Gave that the leg up.
Yeah, and they do look nice. I just don't think they're better toys. The Optimus is specific. I'm not saying Studio Series as a whole. I guess Revenge of the Fallen Deluxe Soundwave, the satellite, because the Studio Series one is trash.
So, Peter, what do you think?
The example I was going to give is Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime. It's a perfect toy. As far as preferring Studio Series to not Studio Series versions of various characters or movie iterations, whatever, I haven't opened a single movie Studio Series figure. So I don't know.
There you go.
I haven't opened any
Many
of them.
of them are worth opening to have fun with.
Yeah. I've opened some of the 86 stuff, but that's because I have brain damage. I'm looking forward to, well, we'll talk about looking forward to later, but have I done anything with movie? Oh no, I take that back. Yeah, I can see him right there. I've got the Devastator, the Studio Series 86 Devastator. I got the upgrade kit and all the foodly do, and that's a far superior figure than any other version. The best one prior to that was the little micro dude.
Mm-hmm. I was really impressed with Devastator. I was kind of sad that it took so long, but that's okay. It's been out for 2 years now, and I like it a lot.
But I think that's kind of interesting too, because the way they released that Devastator is not the way that they've ever released a Combiner before. You know, it's like we had Combiner Wars, and they kind of just were like, here you go, here's all the figures. They mixed up a couple of the waves, but for the most part, you pretty much got your Combiner, you know,
as a wave,
pretty much right away. And whereas this, you know, this almost kind of followed the third party model where it's like, all right, here's one figure. And here's another one, and if you're fans' toys, you're like, we may never complete this type of thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if that model informed how Studio Series did it, because Studio Series is marketed at whom? Collectors. And what do third parties also market toward? Collectors.
Right.
That's free market research for Hasbro.
I think too it was tougher because they wanted to keep those toys in scale, so you know, as you have the Constructicons being all different sizes, it's not as easy to get those all out at the same time.
Yeah, got to allocate different spaces in the waves.
Yeah.
Particularly those leader waves. I mean, Scavenger and Overload are huge toys.
Yeah.
They can be huge. They're not as complicated as some other leaders, but they are huge.
Phil, I'm not sure if you're aware, but you are actually frozen now.
God bless it.
You look
Not
you
to
look
us.
fine to me. Yeah.
All right. Just sitting there stoic with my arms crossed. Like, thankfully I didn't get frozen. Just like,
Oh, there you go.
yeah.
Oh, you got frozen again. Oh boy,
What happens if I do this?
that's funny.
Oh, he changed places for me. Oh, now he's back.
Oh, Phil.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe that'll do something.
What was that? Okay.
Oh, I unfroze for a second and then did refreeze in a weird pose.
Yeah.
That is hysterical.
So I did some a little bit of pre-talking about this with Phil yesterday, just to kind of identify what I needed to talk about on this show. And Phil, you told me what your favorite figure Studio Series was outside of the '86 line, and I might agree that it's my favorite too.
Yeah. So, Studio Series Age of Extinction Grimlock is one of the few that I own from the Bayverse movies. I don't have a ton of Studio Series figures, so this is kind of an interesting topic for me to choose because I don't have a huge sample size of this. I have, I think all of the '86 ones. I have quite a few of the Bumblebee movie ones, especially from the opening sequence on Cybertron. But from the Bayverse movies, I don't have a ton. But that being said, Studio Series Grimlock is an outstanding toy. I know some people went and got the KO oversized version and liked that even more. I'm very, very content with how big and brawny the regular release is. So, yeah, that's the colors on that, especially the paint job he got is. I don't know if we'd get as nice of a looking toy this day and age, or they might have to charge a higher price point because he did come out really, really spiffy looking.
He's getting reissued.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so. Yeah, you would have them at the same price point. Yeah, so all right.
So I haven't really followed the news. Are they reissuing quite a few of the Studio Series, or
no?
Just Grimlock.
Yeah, Grimlock is coming with Buzzworthy in the next couple months. They did the Autobots pack last year, which alleviated some of the demand for Ironhide. He was a big problem to get, apparently. Not apparently, he was a big problem to get. But not a lot of reissues for Studio Series, which is kind of odd if you compare it to stuff like Black Series or Marvel Legends, because that was how it was originally kind of touted. Where those guys come back in multi-packs, or Black Series has the archive waves, and Studio Series doesn't have that. It's just kind of odd.
Ron says that, Phil, you're on point with the topic, and it was just announced today that we're going to have a Commander class Studio Series revealed, and, I think it's been... the leak listing for the longest time has been Ultra Magnus, so...
I'll be really, really looking forward to see how that looks, what the engineering is on that. Is this going to be something brand new, or is it going to be some other remold of the Netflix one that we've gotten over and over again?
I
find out in 2 weeks. We'll have a special show. 2 weeks from right now.
2 weeks from right now, I guess. Yeah, I've been looking forward to the Magnus. That was what I was going to mention earlier. Studio Series 86 Magnus would be great. I hope he's more whatever accurate, because where is he? This clown? This guy? He's fine. I guess.
Fine.
Kingdom.
Yeah, it was Kingdom.
Well, I think the thing that's tough is that you have, Ultra Magnus, the old IDW version, right? Which is like a really cool looking toy. It's really fun, but it just doesn't have the articulation of the modern figures. Then you have that Ultra Magnus that came out, which is like fine in robot mode, but then, the vehicle mode leaves something to be desired. And yeah, it would be really nice to actually get a mini masterpiece version of Ultramag, like something that where it's an kind of updated, taking some of the cues from the original masterpiece. I think, and maybe even can like hold some actual, cars on top.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, because I mean, the IDW Combiner Wars version is a version that does not have a small Optimus Prime that is its own robot and then comes with armor. So this would be, that and as you mentioned, Christian, Lucas, the Masterpiece Ultra Magnus are kind of the only two that Hasbro's done that have that kind of transformation aesthetic. So probably taking cues from both of those to give us some sort of mainline thing that hopefully should be a big beefy toy.
Titanium.
Oh, yeah.
Who said titanium? Not me.
What's
I do
that?
think Studio Series has had some missteps along the way. For instance, I think not having Frenzy 100 figures in is a really big problem.
So let's pause this back up just a second.
Okay.
Christian, you and I talked about our favorite. Peter, what are your and Lucas's favorite Studio Series figures?
I like the
We're not-
Dinobots.
We're not counting the 86,
Oh,
or we are. No, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Is,
you
is
can count
this just movie stuff, or
So let's just do movie stuff for now, and then we can go into the offshoot lines and a little bit later.
I mean, I think Dinobots is probably the answer no matter what, right? Like you said, Grimlock or
Yeah.
from the movie line, essentially.
Shockwave might be mine. Really, it's Shockwave's Packmate who is the best Studio Series figure that we've ever received. There's not even a competition. Yeah, Parachute Guy. Studio Series Parachute Guy. That's what we all needed.
That was the precursor to wasn't it, to the leader class with like the Astro Train and Shockwave, where it's like, we're going to give you a bunch of little greebles to make this a leader class toy.
It was after Shockwave and Astro Train, but before Grimlock and Slag.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps you or not. But yeah, Shockwave actually, it was cool. He came with Parachute Guy, which was dumb, but he also came with the little tiny figures of Wheelie and Brains, which was a nice inclusion. I appreciated that. His paint job is just excellent.
Have we gotten a Studio Series Ravage? Not Bumblebee Ravage, but Earth Mode
Yes.
Ravage?
He came with Grindor.
Oh, yeah. But he's like a little slug, so we don't have like a fully articulated. That would be a cool red toy.
I think Grindor was a mistake as well. I know that they were trying to go by the CAD files or whatever files that they use to animate the movies, which is cool. But another thing that Studio Series does wrong, I think, is they don't make it look like the movies. They make it look like the files. But the movies are the files with a filter applied over them, particularly those characters in Revenge of the Fallen. So you get these color mismatches where they don't actually look like they look on the screen because they forgot to apply the filters, or they chose not to apply the filters. Either one of those is a bad omission. So Grindor comes out looking like Blackout instead of looking like, Tanner. They could have even used just the toy deco for that, and I think that would have been fun.
Is that like when you go on a date with a girl and you realize like all her online photos were with a filter, and then you see her in real life, like, no.
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
I'm really curious if they're going to continue this trend of, having the, guys with like, shots in their chest, or like the Autobots with, various stages of death. I'm not a huge fan of that. I know we'd mentioned this before, but.
Well, I mean, let's
Ironhide
bring up
Prowl.
the larger topic in that Studio Series 86 was focusing largely on just like movie characters, whether or not they were primary, like main characters. Like Perceptor got a Studio Series 86 figure, but he's in the movie for all of 18 minutes before he just kind of as a background character after Junk. But he got it. He merited a figure, but we haven't gotten, like someone mentioned in the chat, Springer, Studio Series 86 Springer. Now leakless and all that stuff. Yeah, I gotcha. But now rather than Daniel, sort of, yeah. Rather than get those figures, we're getting retools of existing, and that's fine. Give me my Prowl, give me my Ironhide, but they're doing it in death poses or whatever, in which I can only assume that they're going to do a Brawn and a Ratchet at some point. We haven't seen Ratchet at all, which is interesting, aside from the little baby guy.
When they do a new Wind Charger mold, it'll be Dead first.
Dead Wind, yeah, they'll do Dead
Right.
first because they want to get your money first, and then they'll give you the regular one, and then they'll give us all the wacky repaints. We'll get Rook and whoever, Tailgate obviously. But it opens up the question, what actually could be considered a Studio Series toy? We know we're getting a Sunstreaker. He was in 2 shots in the movie. 2 shots that make no sense when paired together. There's a Hound. A Hound shows up. Blue Streak shows up. Huffer's in the movie for half a sec.
Grapple's there for a hot second.
Grapple's there. Yeah. Swoop is there. We already know.
Right.
Yeah, who? What?
No, when Cup is like telling them where to move the.
That's not where
Sun.
Grapple is. Grapple's where there's at the very end, their defenses are broken. Let the slaughter begin as the shootout.
Okay.
And everything's
He's
flashing.
hanging out near Perceptor.
And you see Swoop's legs run by, but Swoop isn't on Earth yet. Little things. But yeah, Grapple's there. Are they going to go as far as storyboards? Because Bombshell, Mirage, people showed up in storyboards that weren't wherever. Bumper, you could make a case for Bumper and Gears. There's a guy that's kind of colored like Gears sitting, next to Ironhide on the moon base.
Yeah, the
Bumper gets
sideswipe red alert thing with
Yeah.
Magnus.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could open up, and if you're gonna go so far as to do that, then almost everyone from the first 2 seasons is fair game. Would Studio Series 86 extend to the Don Figueroa movie adaptation from whoever? Because then you can throw in Omega, Menasor, Bruticus, Defensor. You just throw everyone in. Screw it. Whatever. All your friends. So
It would be all your.
Yeah.
When the Dead Guys pack was announced, Phil told me a really good idea he had for a multi-pack. Do you remember what it was, Phil?
I do, and I think I said it in the show last week too, or maybe it was
Okay.
after the show. But it was the idea of, because we got Detritus announced. So like it was like, hey, when are we gonna get Earth Mode Hound? And the idea was, all right, do a multi-pack of Sunstreaker, Hound, and Optimus, and that iconic scene when Optimus lands on Earth from the shuttle, and he's just kind of standing there looking all heroically, and those 2 dudes are in the background. So
no matter the cost pack.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think staging and packaging could be really interesting. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not getting the Dead Guys pack, but if they did packaging that put them in the pose, that could be interesting to me eventually. Or like with the no matter the cost thing Phil was talking about, if it stages it somehow and it makes it look like the scene, that's enticing to me. I don't know if I would actually go for it, but at least it's more interesting than just, oh, it's Prowl but dying.
Yeah.
So there's
a lot of them have come with backgrounds and things, and we had the Quintesson set.
Yeah.
That had
That's what I was about to bring up.
Yeah. Do it.
Not Studio Series?
It's not.
It's not Studio Series, but you
Yeah.
can populate it with all of your Studio Series NAWs.
Yeah. And I think the fact that Hasbro said they're coming back to doing plastic window box packaging does open that up to having those really phenomenal looking San Diego Comic-Con, especially multi-packs, where it's like, I don't want to open this because this looks so awesome. I mean, even the Ravage like 2-pack where it was the Kingdom Ravage, Kingdom Cheetor remold and Ravage with the cassette Ravage. That's a cool little design in the packaging right there. It wasn't as good as the Pit of Judgment, but to your point,
that guy.
yeah, to your point, Christian, if we can start getting multi-packs that with these iconic scenes, like that would be pretty darn fun.
I'm a big fan of packaging, and I think they're doing that degradable plastic. I think is what they're doing, and I think having that will allow for some of that creativity to come back in. Not that I haven't enjoyed the art scenes, but it'll be nice to get some staging with the toys because that's how I display my figures. So it's nice when Hasbro issues them that way.
Yeah, and I think that there was so many people that wanted multiples of that Pit of Judgment pack to have the figures that it came with, and then to also just keep that package because it was so spiffy.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's another way they can get us to buy another cup. If they sell us a cup with Blitzwing and like the cup in the package holding on to Blitzwing's cannon, I would probably buy that.
That's another mistake that Stu Series has made from time to time is not going off of official materials for color layouts.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you are the official materials. Do it correctly, please. And they do, but after you have the first one.
Incremental
Ron
improvements, getting that money.
I was going to say, Ron earlier in the chat says, he could see where they do a Studio Series on-screen representation of just the animation. So, like, make it as animation accurate as possible, but do it just for the show. And I definitely could see. I mean, I think that they'll probably do that. I think it makes a ton of sense. I mean, literally, they could take all those, older, Earthrise Kingdom toys and paint them up. Make them more accurate to the movie. So,
I mean, that's what we're anticipating is coming up with Sunstreaker. The mold exists, the yellows or whatever they are, but some tweaks here and there, and they're going to get our money twice. That's what they love to do. Get the money over and over and over again, and we're happy to give it. So, I mean, milk me. I'm here.
Yeah.
I always say I'm nearing the end of that phase, but I did buy Ironhide again. Not the dead one, and I won't buy the dead one. But
but the funny thing is if they did the dead one without it being dead, like if they just did the extra deco and like the stripe on the side and everything, damn it, I'd do it.
I'd probably consider it.
Yeah.
The dead one is interesting though because it's not clear plastic, that translucent blue or whatever, painted red. So this figure might ultimately be more sturdy than the regular Studio Series 86 Ironhide. So the dead one is more sturdy than the not so dead one.
Oof.
Yeah. So, a couple of things I do think your guys' idea about, doing some packaging with like various scenes. I know, listening to the Transformers team when they did the podcast with Triple Takeover the other week, they're mentioning both like one that they do consider the Transformers animated movie kind of like the big tent pole of the franchise. Overall that, if someone new joins the team, they tell them, hey, make sure you've seen the movie if you don't already. Like, and then also they really love doing capsules of figures too. So I could definitely kind of see that where they do various scenes from the movie and act them out with multiple packs.
We're gonna get a 20-pack of the dancing scene on Planet Junk.
Sure.
I'll take it. I want
This
Grimlock with a little
is-
smoochy mouth.
This is how
that
you
would be
get all the rest of the
adorable.
Junkions. Is you have to buy this 20-pack.
Mm-hmm. Give me
You're gonna
goggles
have to
and
buy
all the
RC
else.
and Springer and all the rest of them again, just to get the 6 Junkions that you're missing.
And
Fantastic.
Wheelie will be that slug figure that came with Grimlock, but in a breakdancing pose.
Yes.
Perfect.
different pose.
Yeah.
I know the figure's not great, but for that, wonderful.
Yeah. Him and Daniel. It'll be the Daniel from Slag and the or Slug and the Wheelie from Grimlock in their little dance-off pose.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
They'll
should
just
pose
continue
them like that
to
now.
train out 4-packs where it'll have one Junkion and, you know, multiples of the other figures. And, you know, just kind of end up doing like 4 or 5 packs of those.
I think the Troop Builder pack was a missed opportunity to throw one of the deluxe Junkions in with some extra heads. You know,
Yeah, I
different
agree.
extra heads. But
I just had that same exact thought.
Yep. Well, I mean, you know, that's for the next 4-pack, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a Studio Series concept series and we get that giant train worm guy.
Ooh. That'd be fun.
Oh, the snake dude.
Yeah.
Rails.
There you
Yeah.
go, Rails. I was like, it's an unimaginative name, which why it didn't stick in my brain. And Pre-Cup, who's a tank, weird tank. Yeah,
You know,
those guys.
I held this guy up earlier, but I definitely would love a Studio Series non-slug version of Orbulus and yeah, exactly.
Arbalest and
But-
Kranix, they transformed originally. In the comics, they transformed, and in
Yep.
the Marvel universe, Marvel Transformers universe, it shows them in their alt modes.
Yeah,
Chthonians
and the
had
They're
an
not
first
alt
book-
complicated alt modes.
They just basically lie down.
Yeah,
I think we'll see those next year since it's rumored and leaked and kind of that the new Junkion weaponizer, whatever, new thing is rocks. And who are rocks? Rock lords, yes, but Lithonians as well.
why are they
That's what
rock?
Lith means. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you guys study your Latin.
Nerd.
I'm sorry, are not 4 of us on this Transformers podcast?
You're too nerdy for this toy podcast.
All
Christian.
right, yes.
Be gone!
Lith is rock. They are rock dudes.
I wanna live.
Basically, and they don't. They do not. It's very sad. For the longest time as a kid, I couldn't watch the opening scene. I was like, oh, too much death. Just a boy.
I'm going to bring up again how I saw RoboCop in theaters when I was 6, and
It's
how
probably
as
too
soon
young
as,
to see that.
as soon as it hit video, I saw Full Metal Jacket. And boy, were they glorious films. They informed Little Destron on a lot of the way the world operates.
That, especially the Full Metal Jacket, explains a lot.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll tell you some Full Metal Jacket
That's
stories
not
when
cool.
we're off the air.
That's not good.
I am in a world of shit.
So as far as live action goes, I mentioned Frenzy. How are we over 100 figures in and we don't have the complete 07 cast?
How'd we get Freezer before Frenzy?
Dude, right?
Is Freezer a Studio Series toy?
He is.
Okay. It's hard to tell with the Rise of the Beast because we got mainline and Studio Series, and I forget which is which sometimes.
Yeah, he's a Studio Series core class. I forget what number he is. I probably didn't forget. I probably just never learned it. But yeah, no Frenzy. Feels like he could be in core. Feels like he could have been packed in with somebody along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Never happened.
It
It was-
makes me wonder. Frenzy was an obnoxious character. Wheelie was an obnoxious character and saw Slug release, but didn't get a full, core figure release. And the twins obviously haven't seen release yet. So is Hasbro just kind of holding off on releasing the obnoxious characters? They've got to have plans at some point to do it. You'd think.
You would think. I'm not so sure they'll touch the twins. I wish they would. Both forms, because that ice cream truck combiner thing from Rid of the Fallen was pretty cool. And I like their concept cars. One of them even ended up existing later. So,
Yep.
and they were part of it. Like, for better or for worse, they were a large part of that movie. A lot of people would say for worse, but they were there. They're part of it, and I think excluding them is a misstep.
Yeah, I agree.
You're like one of the guys who argues that like Barry Bonds and all the steroid guys should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame because they're part of that history, even as tarnished as that history is. Changing subjects off of sports, and also changing subjects mildly away from Transformers, but still on toys this time. We have other examples of Hasbro kind of pissing off the fan base and taking their own sweet time with figures. And that is a line that has been mentioned earlier tonight. That's the Star Wars Black Series. Star Wars Black Series took forever to give us some of the characters we want. Like Mace Windu, like I don't know, what was it, 10 years we had to wait for Mace Windu? So, you know, that is a line that I think probably the Transformers brand is looking at and saying, you know, listen, we can't give you all the marquee characters up front and
But
give you
did.
the minor dudes.
I mean, they hurtled through that so quickly that there's hardly any live action characters left. So the ones that are missing are glaringly absent. And
Are you
now,
talking for Transformers or
for
Star Wars?
Transformers? Yeah.
But it took a long time. Like
It's taken less than 5 years. Really, with
But
the
5
advent
years-
of 86 and now with Gamer Sweat, it seems like they're spending more time on these spin-offs than they are on what the movie line was supposed to be.
That's true, but someone in the chat earlier mentioned like that there's still a lot of characters from the last night that we haven't gotten. You know, so there are definitely, you know, characters that have not received a figure that had some decent amount of screen time or were integral as part of a plot, as crappy as that plot was.
We are getting one of those characters coming up soon in Mohawk. He'll be around.
Yeah. You know, not a ton of screen time, but I mean, have we got any of the other Dinobots besides Grimlock?
We got the
So if
babies.
You got the babies.
Yeah.
And you can kind of look at the Last Night premiere line as like a proto Studio Series, because they launched with the same design philosophy, and Studio Series continued right where that line left off.
Yeah.
So that was a long way to say we got Scorn.
Yeah, and Scorn is an awesome
Wrong
toy.
colors, but
Wrong
great
colors,
toy.
but I'll take any Spinosaurus toy I can get.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, but you know, we still need two-headed Swoop. We still need
That character is called Strafe.
Strafe. You're right. Duh. It's not even. Which does anyone remember the Origins, like whatever pack that they put out,
Evolution
Toys R Us
pack?
exclusive
With
Evolution
Strafe,
pack?
Strafe and
Yeah.
Swoop with Strafe.
Yes. With the Technobot Strafe on the package.
That was
the G1.
incredible.
It was. But yeah, we still need Slag slash Slug. You know, was Slash in the movie at all?
Slash was
Okay.
cut.
But another thing, Peter, to your point about annoying characters, you know who took forever to get a Black Series toy?
Jar Jar. And then there was some hype about his release, and then he shelf warmed, or peg warmed rather. And
I will say this is a really good toy.
It'd be a
I
really
was
good
trying
toy.
to find his shield. I couldn't find his shield. I've got his little spear right here. His spear is great. This is like whatever hate you have for the Jar Jar character, like just like sculpting and paint and whatever as a toy, this is a really good toy. So maybe the wait will pan out to the benefit there, and you'll get a good characters, good toys of these kind of quote unquote annoying Transformers characters. I won't buy them, but you know.
Well, I'm kind of curious to see the direction they take this going forward. I mean, do you guys think that they're going to continue to focus more on the spinoffs, or do you think that they're going to try to finish up what they got and, you know, maybe start redoing a little bit of the Bayverse figures?
I think they'll redo a couple. I think the first redos we'll see will be repaints and maybe minor retools of the Rise of the Beast figures. Because this is another Phil point, because I talked to Phil about everything apparently. But Phil, you mentioned when these figures were revealed and then the movie started having trailers and stuff, like the figures don't look like they do in the movie because they were developed earlier in the process, whereas 1 through 5, their files were done. You can make figures out of them because they're in the past. This is the first time that Studio Series has kept up with a movie. Because you're right, Bumblebee did release while Studio Series was a thing, but it wasn't. We didn't get toys of those characters until much later, except that grossly inaccurate Volkswagen Bee.
Right. And I think what sparked this whole conversation in my head was Anna messing around with that core Rise of the Beast RC, and just how kind of crappy of a toy that is, especially as an on-screen representation of that character. It does a passable job at best, but it's certainly not what we were told Studio Series was supposed to be. So I imagine that we'll get a deluxe of her at some point. And that'll look much more closer to the animation model, or the CGI model, whatever you want to say it is. Some of the other ones that we did get already, Cheetor and Rhinox. Well, Rhinox isn't out yet, but we've seen them. Those look pretty close. Those look pretty good. Battle Trap looked pretty good. Scourge looks pretty good. So we still have some ones to come out, but the Mirage, they can take it all past the Mirage.
Awful.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful alt mode, and they did incredible with that. But it looks nothing like the robot mode. No. And I think that's just late editing on the film that Hasbro couldn't implement on the toy in time. Maybe it's not even in time. Mirage was probably the biggest character in the movie and didn't make it out for the movie's release.
And I think that's one of the things that, talking about another toy line that has to do concurrent movies and figures, is the Marvel toys. And we saw that especially with Avengers Endgame. The first wave of toys that came out from Avengers Endgame were based upon the early concept art and did not look like what the toy or what the characters did on the screen. And then later on, like a year, 2 years later, we finally got really screen accurate representations of those characters, because there was a lot of, NDAs and behind closed doors, and we don't want this leaking out sort of thing with Endgame. So, you couldn't get those toys contemporaneously when the movie came out. I think we might see something similar with Rise of the Beast.
Yep. Legends is doing the same thing with No Way Home, and those figures were not available.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a couple, I think two of the Tom Holland suits, but like the ones that everyone wants are just coming out now. We still haven't seen anything from the villains.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. But yeah, that Spider-Man 3-pack is really nice.
I thought it looked kind of.
I've held them in hand and they look really good.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I put them in a box and sent them to someone else.
So, Lucas, you asked what we think is going to happen. I think Studio Series has a little bit of identity crisis because it's trying to trickle out the remaining live action designs that exist. It's trying to squeeze every single bit of juice out of the 86 movie, like Peter mentioned with Grapple and Huffer and Dead Windcharger. Like, do those guys really need a Studio Series release? Maybe. Probably.
Well,
probably not, actually.
And
then they're doing Gamer Sweat now that just started.
One thing with the 86 line, though, is I do feel like they're the Legends line, or whatever you call it, I guess, whatever the Generations line currently, that they're focusing on a lot of non-G1 characters with that. And so I wonder if this is a way to get the G1 characters out. If that makes sense. And on the pegs.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, Braun,
like that, but
Braun is a toy that could have come out on Legacy or Studio Series 86. He doesn't have a ton of screen time in the movie, but he is in there. But it looks just like how he did in this, the screen. We just got Beachcomber, was landing on a lot of people's doorsteps over the last week, and that looks really darn close to how Beachcomber did in the cartoon. He even comes with a little parrot referencing a specific referencing a specific cartoon episode. So that's, to me, that's like Studio Series 84. I don't know, 85, whenever that episode came out.
I would not mind if that's what Studio Series became.
Yeah,
it's accurate to whatever thing. Then you have Generations doing, interpolations or I don't know, other stuff. Or they
I'm
continue
cool
to
with
cross pollinate. I mean, which one of us does not include 86 figures with our Legacy and War for Cybertron stuff?
Well, and two, like we had when Studio Series 86 first came out, we had figures of like Cyclonus coming out in the Kingdom line. That's like, why is this in Kingdom and not in Studio Series? Granted, it's not spitting image of 86 movie Cyclonus, so I kind of get it. But you had that. You had Rodimus, you had Galvatron, you had Cyclonus, that were all like, why are they in this line and not in that? So maybe you do re-release those with a little bit different paint job or whatever in the 86 line.
And then they get you twice. Which, I mean, I'm all for it. Incremental improvements. I keep talking about it. I mean, I deride it as a bad thing, but I also love that they're willing to make those improvements. Hasbro 15 years ago wouldn't have done this. They would have released, I mean, they did. They released, here's your movie guy. Have fun. Here's your whatever universe, or reveal the shield guy. Have your kicks. That's what you get.
That's true. What a thing to complain about now.
Yeah.
How quickly we forget that exactly what you said. It didn't used to be like this.
Well, because I think part of it is that we feel like suckers that we bought a toy when there's a better toy that comes out so quickly afterwards.
I think it's the speed that is the issue.
And when you look at Studio Series 86 Cup and Buzzworthy Cup, that to me is the poster child for that sort of like, oh, tattoo the word sucker on my forehead.
That's the one that they really didn't use their own material on that.
Yeah.
They were like, what does Cup look like on a Google image search, and did that based on the first appearance, and that was not correct.
But that, and you had the designers like, oh, I really like the clear plastic. I don't like to do the painted windows. And it's like, well, how else are you going to achieve the look that it had in the cartoon? Well, I mean, that's why Repro Labels like does so many of those animated style cell shaded windows stickers that they do, and they sell a ton of those, and a ton of people love to buy those because that's how it looked like on the TV screen when we were itty bitty children.
Unless it was an ACOM episode, but I digress.
ACOM, the best studio. That's who should have Studio Series ACOM.
They could get easy redecos and off-model things out of. I mean, almost all of season 3 was ACOM. See, I mean, you can get Huffer, you can get the Huffer Brawn Bone Crusher 3-pack.
Love that pack.
Yep. You can get animation error or off-model broadside packs. You can. I mean, there's just so many.
It's like 4 different broadsides.
It's 4 different broadsides. You can get all of the different iterations of Cup and Cyclonus and Scourge, all the Florodary originals, all the way up to final Toei stuff, and all the weird nonsense in between.
You can have opening credits error Cup-colored Springer.
Yeah, Spragnus.
How many episodes from season 3? You saw
26?
That many times.
Yeah, 30. It was 30 episodes. Yeah.
I want the one random dude from. Well, yeah, that, and I want the one random like not Transformer alien that turns into a car for the race scene in Five Faces.
Oh yeah,
Munkaspanka.
Yeah,
he'd be a pretty easy one to do.
Definitely not this guy.
Not that guy. Munkaspanka.
Not that guy.
Yeah. Although Jazz is in that scene as well.
It's
no,
Munkaspanka
won the race. You see Jazz cross the finish line. He jumps into robot mode, and they're like, "And that was Munkaspanka, winner of the race."
Okay.
Like, what the? Okay. My dude,
but there
Monka.
was like an alien, like Florodary kind of design looking car in that race.
There was a red guy. There's a red guy
yes.
in the credit. Yeah, he's in the race and he's in the credits, but he's not. I'm sure he's a Transformer. I don't know. That's not Munkaspanka though. Munkaspanka's the dude with a blue visor, black helmet, white car,
white
Porsche. Yeah, he's like a
Porsche. Yeah,
Porsche 925. Yeah.
There's like another version of him that is a music symbol painted on his chest.
Peter.
Yeah. 35. Sorry. I was looking up 928s earlier because I'm going to buy something. Buy a dead end.
Cool.
But yeah, I do want that alien Cybertronian, not Cybertronian car, red and brown guy.
I want that guy. I mean, I can complain about all the things I want. Let's just brass tacks. My favorite movie studio series thing, because it's the only one that I've opened so far, is Devastator. Because Devastator. Where the hell is my Studio Series 86 Devastator? I will take 3 years to build that sucker. Anything is better than the Hasbro Combiner Wars Devastator. That thing was trash. Hollow, unposable, and then the Unite Warriors one was a little bit better. I don't care. Where is my improved Titan size once we're all done Studio Series 86 movie Devastator? Because goddamn, you want people to buy your stuff?
Peter, first off, you're right. Second, do you remember when they did that reissue of Combiner Wars Devastator? What year that was, and what else happened that year?
So you're saying if we get a reissue Combiner Wars Devastator, or we get a reissue whatever, we're gonna have Plague?
No, what I'm saying is when the same year that Kingdom and 86 started happening, that was when they reissued Devastator. It was like meant to go with Studio Series, but they never said so explicitly.
Well, yeah.
We don't
This-
get
I know.
Plague, we just get an insurrection.
There's a poopy.
I don't make the rules, man. I tried. I applied twice to make the rules. They hired Evan Brooks instead of me.
There's a poopy. There was poopy on them to not hire you, one, because I would have your ear and you would make things happen, and two,
Peter's just going to be Christian's worm tongue.
I'm taking over the Shire when we're done here. And nope, that's not acceptable. That's not the way you.
I
No,
don't know, man. I think
It's
that
it's
one
what
day
it was
you,
for.
You know, it's coming out.
I
they're
think
gonna do
it probably
Devastator.
will, because that's a really big scene in the movie. But it's also taking them 5 years to make the Dinobots,
Yeah.
yes,
because
And
those
they're-
all
and
have to
they're-
be leaders, and it takes a lot of leader spots to make that happen.
and they're doing Snarl before Swoop, and Swoop got 743 times the screen time that Snarl got.
I know Combiner Wars Devastator ain't perfect, but I've got a lot more love for him than you guys do.
I think he's fun. I eventually got the Unite Warriors version, like it better, and the little tiny version, the in scale version.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the knockoff thing.
That was like the 3rd or 4th episode of Microcasters. Cool become brave. Indeed, it did.
There you go.
I picked up the yellow one and made Tonkanator out of it.
Tonkanator, merge for the build.
I wanted a modern Tonkanator because I like the idea of Autobot Constructicon dudes.
Now, did you get a G1 reissue or whatever Tonkanator?
I did. It went on super mega clearance around my birthday back in December. I think I paid like $40 for it in the end.
Yeah, they're practically paying people like, take that toy off their hands.
And it's nice.
Right.
Just, now I have a G1 version to go with my G1 dudes, my very few. And then I've got a modern version that goes with my modern dudes. What can I say? I'm that guy.
I'm trying to find the post that I made because it was like the 7-year anniversary of it, where I was grumping about how many versions of Combiner Wars and or Unite Warriors Devastator I was going to have to buy to make all the kits work, and to get this version has the weapons, and this version has the elbows, and this version I need for Prowlistator, and this version I need for individual display, and this one I need for over here, and that one I need. I ended up needing like 5 or 6 of them. I got 3. And I still want a Studio Series 86. Because Studio Series 86 wasn't a thing 7 years ago.
Yeah, I think you're right that if they redid it now, we would see something akin to the Revenge of the Fallen Devastator release schedule. But more importantly, we'd see the modern articulation and care put into them.
8 years ago. Because I took my Devastator, one of them, to Qatar with me when I lived over there. And I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was the only one country at that point. Because I didn't see it for sale anywhere locally there.
I could see them redoing it again. I mean, like I said, that's a big scene. That's a really big, important scene in the movie.
And how can you have Dead Prowl, Dead Ironhide without individual Constructicons with elbows and guns gunning them down?
Yeah, you're right.
Not going to happen.
Can't
happen. And how can you have Studio Series Sludge without his eyeballs popping out?
Bingo.
I really thought that was a glaring omission, considering that the previous two had, extra people with them. Like, come on, the eyeballs.
I'm holding out hope that we're going to get some like goodies in Studio Series Swoop.
I think it's either that or there's like a weapons pack that comes out with Slash, a new Slash, a deluxe Slash.
New Slash.
I just really like Slash from Power of the Primes. I think she's a really great figure. I bought like 7 of her and made them all different colors, like a Raptor pack. I was really influenced by Jurassic World. But I figured if Volcanicus was like this giant lumbering beast, they needed an agile, strike force to soften everything up for him.
Yeah. Who was it just talking about Slash with someone the other day?
Said we were movie Slash earlier.
Yeah, we were talking about Slash here last week, about Slash and Cindersaur.
That's it.
That's true.
That was a female that went to a male. That was the conversation.
That was the only example we can come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right though, Peter, that Devastator's a pretty big gap. If they're really doing the 86 movie, Devastator's a big gap.
Megatron.
There's something cooking about him.
Yeah.
And we're holding our breath because are they just going to make a tank? They're not going to make a gun. So what are they going to do?
Submarine. That's always the answer.
I'm down with Submarine Megatron, man.
Submarine was fantastic. I love 6-shot submarine mode.
Yep.
I mean, what a way to do that. I mean, truly, like, it sounds like a joke, and I'm sure it is kind of a joke, but like, I really appreciate that kind of creativity.
Yeah. So, one thing I think is interesting with Studio Series 2, they're actually pretty valuable too, and hard to come by because they haven't reissued, especially a lot of the earlier ones. That if you are getting on it now, 5 years later, and you want to get, the first ones, it's actually pretty tough.
Yeah, they did that box set, the Autobot 5-pack last year. That helped a lot of folks to get some of those first, movie. The no-brainer thought was like, oh, they're gonna do a Decepticon one for the first movie, and that never came to fruition. So, yeah, again, coming back to the idea of what they've done with other lines similar to this, Black Series has reissued popular characters that they don't need to do a new version of that toy. They're just going to slap it in a anniversary pack or something, or a greatest hits kind of pack, and it wouldn't hurt them to do that with some of these Studio Series toys.
I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a couple of G1 Dinobots reappear around the time Swoop releases next year. Probably not in actual Studio Series. I think they would be, a buzzworthy reissue or a Selects thing or whatever, some other parallel thing to get them out at the same time.
Yeah, the Grimlock is commanding top dollar right now.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that one. I mean, both Grimlocks, the movie one and the 86 one, are both really expensive aftermarket.
Yep.
So,
well, since we're talking about combiners,
any reason that we're getting the Age of Extinction Grimlock right now? Is there any tie-in with this or is
I think it's the price thing Peter mentioned. I mean, last year they reissued the Dark of the Moon Optimus for presumably the same reason.
Yeah, okay. All right, that makes sense. That's right. That's true.
So they're trying to get reissues out where they can, it seems.
I'm just like, oh, well, the new movie had robot animals, and he's a robot animal. So is that it? I don't know.
Not far-fetched.
Yeah.
I sort of think that before they'll do 86 Devastator, they'll do Fall of Cybertron Bruticus in the gamer sweat line.
That would be a gamery
I can see
thing.
that.
I
I'd
think
welcome that.
Combiner Wars Devastator holds to modern standards better than the previous Fall Cybertron Bruticus does.
Oh, significantly.
So I think they'll address that problem first and then come around to Devastator. But hey, who am I? I don't plan things, but
Well, that combiner was, I mean, they hadn't really kind of figured it out yet, so.
No.
but without it, we would not have gotten Combiner Wars.
You don't think so?
Okay.
I mean, Bruticus had to stumble so that Combiner Wars could stumble also.
Combiner Wars is better than you give it credit for.
It's fine. It did a good job. You can give the movie credit for bringing the masses back to Transformers, and you can give video gamey Bruticus credit for, making people like, oh, these things combine. I remember that. I remember combinders. I remember constructivators and brutalators and all that stuff, because no one remembers anything properly. But yeah, it stumbles so that blah blah could walk, so that we can hope that we get a Devastator someday that doesn't suck.
I really
Part
do
of me-
think you're right, though, that it'll happen.
Part of me wants there to be some person out there, some adult, that as a kid somehow saw the Scramble City thing and was like, that's what they think combiners are and should be. And they're trying to like talk to someone at a comic book store, like, no, like they would like interchange parts and all this kind of thing. And like the person at the toy store is looking at them like, what are you smoking? That never happened. Like the person, like the random adult who wants the nostalgia fix is getting the nostalgia fix for something they randomly saw a Japanese dub of. And the person at the toy store is actually less educated, but they're both like not communicating properly.
It was on the 20th anniversary movie DVD, right, Peter? That's how I saw it the first time.
So again, I actually have never seen it myself. So
You
someone
need to watch it.
Yeah,
It's good.
do.
I mean, it's not good.
It's good.
It's good.
You want a final appearance of Chip Chase? There you go. You want a final spark plug? There you go.
I would say I want Studio Series figures of those guys, the human guys. But dang, the Spike we got doesn't have a face.
Yeah.
Neither did the
I bought two of
Masterpiece,
those.
though.
Yeah, I was going to say, the
It didn't have the
Masterpiece
Masterpiece.
wasn't that great either, so.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I bought
I
the
bought
upgrade
two of
heads
them.
for him.
I was hoping that there would be upgrade heads, and
Yeah.
apparently there are that I don't know about.
Oh, no. I'm talking about the Masterpiece ones. I bought
Oh.
the upgrade heads from Impossible Toys or whoever back
Oh,
in
gosh, those were horrible.
2011.
Oof.
They were great.
A while ago. That was
The
a
heads
while
were
Maybe we're
great.
thinking of different ones.
I don't know.
Well, I've
Mine were like
one
told
looked
you what my-
diatribe sized.
I've told you like what I call those toys, right? Spaniel.
Oh, yeah, that would work. No. Yeah, Impossible did the little dinker guys and the little like sluggy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they weren't slugs. They had knees. The season 1 and 2 Spike and Sparkplug. They had removable hats. They had little hard hats.
Yeah, I thought they were like diatribe sized, which I guess made sense, but I don't have a
Yeah.
G1 collection, so. But yeah, the Spike figure didn't have a face, which was very frightening. Like I said, I bought two of them, hoping that some third-party company would do upgrade heads so I can make Spike and Daniel, but so far that has not happened.
There are 600,000 enterprising 3D modelers on Facebook who will gladly sell you STL files of. There are some really talented folks out there, and then there are some real people with ambition, and I applaud their ambition.
If I did that, I'd be one of the ones with ambition. I don't have much artistic talent, sorry.
I have no talent, so
And
kudos to those who are doing it.
ambition plus skill plus time is a hot commodity.
I'm not a Makata.
Okay.
Like 3 people out there will get that reference and none of them are watching.
I did not. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I feel bad.
No, it's fine. You guys are like 10 years older than the demographic it was for, which is me.
I like I like getting references.
Maybe I'll share this with you later.
Yeah, but you're old, Phil. Sorry, bud.
What are you talking about? I'm a spring chicken.
Spring chicken.
Yes. So Phil, is there anything from the topic tonight we haven't covered so far that we need to touch on?
Least favorite studio series. I gave mine earlier. What are your guys' least favorite studio series across the board?
Nest Bumblebee.
Which one? The Bumblebee?
Nest Bumblebee.
Was that the one that like didn't transform that well?
It's the gray Jeep one that comes with Sam for some reason. Really, the whole Nest line makes no sense. We've been okay. Sorry, this is going to take me on a tangent real quick, and I'll come back. I promise. Serge and I have been clamoring together for 5 years for Studio Series repaints. I don't know if you guys remember. Peter definitely does because he remembers everything that ever happened. That the movie lines had different character repaints. So like we had movie 1 Cliff Jumper and Nightwatch Optimus and Rescue Ratchet and Off-Road Ironhide. Every other movie Ratchet ever in the history of everything has been G1 color, except the Studio Series one, and now it has a black Nest deco for some reason. Get out of here. Bone Crusher just came out in Nest. It looks terrible. Make Jungle Bone Crusher. That's what people like me and Serge are looking for. We grew up with movie stuff. I want Camaro Cliff Jumper so badly. Put it in my hands.
We did get a repaint core Laserbeak into core Bumblebee.
That's not one of those. I mean, it was a movie the best. I guess that sort of vaguely counts, but fine. That was nice. It wasn't even a repaint. It's Laserbeak's mold.
I guess technically it is.
He used
Have
it
we
first.
gotten
It says
a bird Laserbeak in Studio Series?
yes. It came with Dark the Moose out with.
Okay. Did it also come with Studio Series Ken Jeong?
It did not.
Okay.
Nor did it come with Shu Huan milk.
Is that his name in the movie?
No, that's what he's drinking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assume Bay gave it some racist name.
No, I think his name was something like normal. I don't know. He's Ken Jeong.
Yeah.
He works with John Malkovich.
Oh God, John Malkovich was in the Transformers movies, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. So was Buzz Aldrin. Studio Series Buzz Aldrin win.
I think it was in the Chicago text chain that I had the discussion of who was the bigger sellout, Orson Welles for the '86 movie or Anthony Hopkins for The Last Night. And we can add John Malkovich to that list as well.
All I'm saying really is that I want Cliff Jumper in my hands, but I would take Stealth Bumblebee. How did that not happen? I would take Rescue Ratchet. How's that not happen? Stalker Scorponok. Great. Evac from the Blackout mold. Hand them to me. You know, stuff like that. When all of those figures got repainted as new characters, I would take Studio Series of them in a heartbeat.
Did we get a Studio Series Last Night Barricade?
No, but Last Night Premiere had a Barricade.
Okay.
And as we discussed, it kind of folded into Studio Series. Yeah. But technically no, but kind of, yeah.
But close enough.
Remember those first few waves of Studio Series also used several of the Last Night molds.
Okay.
Crankcase and, Crowbar and Bumblebee and...
Evac.
Yeah! Studio Series, that Evac. Because they're not selling that Evac at Universal anymore.
I sold them in 2 different deco or 2 different packages, and then a few different like the Uniminis and a Creo pack and Core Class or Legends, whatever little baby guy. They did it up.
Big old statue.
And yeah. Now it's over. They need to reskin that ride. Reskin it, Gen 1ify it. Have some fun with it. I mean, over in Hong Kong and stuff, wherever they've got Hong Kong's got the restaurant, and China has the Fortress Maximus playset. where you can go and slide down slides in Fortress Maximus's city mode and stuff. And they have Gen 1 attractions and a Gen 1 like ride and stuff. We don't have that here. We need that. They should do like Gen 1 in California and movie in Florida, or flippy flop it. I don't care. Change it up. Have some fun.
I mean, I can see that with when they released the new park. You know, at Universal.
That might conflict with Paramount pushing Transformers and Paramount and Universal being different. Whatever, but who cares? Yeah. Lucas, your least favorite Studio Series toy?
So I would say like Barricade. I just had trouble getting it together, like in vehicle mode, and so that just kind of annoyed me in general. So I would say that, or I think there were one of the Bumblebee ones, I can't remember, was a little bit annoying as well. So
the Volkswagen Bee, that one sucked.
Yeah. So those are kind of like my picks of where it's just kind of a little bit annoying.
Piotr?
I mean, I'm Piotr Rasputin. I have no opinion, really. I opened up the Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. That's the only thing I opened. I don't know. I waited patiently for them to all be released. I didn't wait for the multi-pack or whatever. They were fine when I got them. They made me happy. I don't like that Devastator as a rule, but it was my desk bot for a couple of years until I changed jobs, and then now I'm back at my old job, I guess, sort of. And he hasn't come back with me, so he sits over in the corner. I got the upgrade kits. I really liked them. So as far as like least favorite, any of the ones I didn't open. So the other 95 figures in the line.
So I just feel like if Devastate is your desk spot, then your monitor's just like on the floor. You just don't have any room on your desk for anything because that toy just has a giant footprint.
My desk right now has 3 Masterpiece Megatrons, 5 or 6 Deluxe and Voyager class Megatrons, the Wendy's Megatron, and like the Mighty Mugs Megatrons. All of the XTB Generation 2 Stunticons, a random smattering of like Energon cubes and nonsense, some photos of my family, and it had Devastator at one point.
That's like just big desk.
Yeah.
Big. Like I'm the dude. So I have lots of toys. And that was on the left, and on the right is where I used to take pictures for my Instagram stuff. There was like a backer with a big light and a tripod thing that hung off the desk, so that was all over here. It was pretty great.
You had like more display space in your office than some people do in their entire like living space.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Christian, did you say your least favorite?
Nest B.
Nest B. There we go. And then Lucas,
the nest thing doesn't need to make sense.
Said Barricade. Yeah.
So Phil, what's your least favorite again?
I said Studio Series 86 Wheelie.
Got it.
Is that a 3D printed or like a red prototype?
Someone from work 3D printed this. So like, you like Transformers? Here's the thing.
Well, that's very kind of your coworkers.
It was
very nice of them.
Incredible. And then he got fired for reasons.
Oh.
Not by me. I mean, it was deserved, but don't be. Yep.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
That was just like Peter's like, actually, this is one of our listeners, our viewers. They carved this out of soap while they were in prison.
Right. So I was going to mention book club this week is going to be Anna's Anime Academy Club. Sunday night at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern on the Discord. Heroes chosen in...
and his name is Jinrai. You got to get the titles right. A hero is chosen and his name is Jinrai is the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Full name of the episode. You can't just say...
So you know who the hero is before the episode even starts.
Yeah, and it shows
fantastic.
Shows him stand there awkwardly.
Hey, guy.
And they told us last week what the name of the episode was with the title card. So Like the last week's preview of next week's episode already told us. It's just like Ultra Magnus
That
dies.
giant toy that came out around that time.
That's crazy.
What?
The one that you can't buy without the trailer. Spoilers. So I wonder.
Who is that? We shouldn't be allowed to do this.
But watch it. It's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I like that even though the book club has transitioned to Anna's Anime Academy, because you're doing sub stuff, you still have to read.
There you go.
Fair point.
Works out. So.
Still need to be literate or fluent in Japanese.
Well, thanks, guys, for joining me tonight. And thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Zaldron and Ron and Secret Kingdom. Thanks to Jay Holla, Duke Nukem. And...
Secret Kingdom, I care about you. I just don't care about New Jersey.
Smash that like.
Sorry.
Subscribe. Tell your mother to subscribe. Tell your mother's mother to subscribe.
Also, if your name is Jake and you're watching, and I know your mother, thanks for watching the show.
There you go. All right.
Thanks, Jake.
On that, we will see everybody next week.
How well does Christian know your mother, Jake?